Hi, thank you for tuning in. I just want to share with you that we have been praying for you. We've been praying for the church, that God would continue to pull us together, to unite us, and to enrich us spiritually so that we can flourish the way that He has designed us to flourish. And we're excited to see what He's going to do in us in this year as we focus on reverence. And that's what we're going to be looking at this coming weekend, this idea of reverent worship. And this is really our series that's going to lead us into Easter. So this is a very purposeful decision to help us to stop and to take a step back, and not just to prepare our minds and our hearts, as you will, but to also prepare our souls for what we're going to experience and receive on Easter weekend. Because as we come into Good Friday, we want to be reflective in a way where we receive the weight of the burden that Jesus had, where we can wrestle with, know, and understand the price that He chose to pay on our behalf. And that this is the definition of love, that God sent His Son into the world to die for us. And so this is going to be a significant weekend that's coming up in 2 weeks, but we want to prepare ourselves now in order to receive that, in order to interact with that, because we believe, one, by doing that, it helps us to be rooted in a deeper place spiritually, and it's going to help us to celebrate even more on Easter Sunday as we come together to celebrate what God has done on our behalf. So we want to invite you in to being intentional in these next 2 weeks on how you prepare yourself coming into church. Pastor John invited you on Sunday to take an extra 30 minutes before church. And maybe you come 30 minutes early and you sit down in your seats and you just sit to prepare your heart. Or maybe you have an additional 30-minute devotional time, an extended prayer time before coming to church on Sunday morning, because we want to prepare ourselves to be reverent. We want to prepare ourselves to worship from that place of reverence as we interact with His Word and come before Him together. So I want to encourage you to do that, but I also want to remind you of what we talked about early in this year, that we have claimed the word reverence for this year. That as a body, we want to learn to better embrace a posture of reverence before the Lord, because we want to stand in awe of Him. We want to know deeper measures of who He is, and we want to know Him experientially. We want to know Him in that personal way. We want to know more about Him, and we want to worship Him rightly. And by taking that posture of reverence, it's going to help us to step into knowing God in a deeper way. So we want to invite you to be considering how you can, in an ongoing way, seriously have a deep respect for God as you approach His Word, as you come in for worship at church, as you prepare for Bible study, as you interact with neighbors and friends and family members about Jesus. Also, we've claimed for this year Hebrews 12:28 and 29. And we've asked that you would engage with that you would memorize that passage as a reminder of what it means to stand in awe of God, as a reminder that He has invited us into a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And when we really reflect on what that means, there should be a sense of awe that builds from within, a sense of deep respect and reverence for what God has done and what He's promised to continue to do, and what we know is coming in the future. So we made these bookmarks where it has Hebrews 12:28 and 29 on one side, and then the other side it has our word reverence with its definition on it. And these are going to be free for you to take. We also have 4x6 cards that will be out at the Welcome Center that you can grab. And we want to give these to everyone as a reminder that you would put it in your book if you're a reader, so that you see it with regularity, so that you'd maybe put it on your fridge, or these are nice and small enough that you could tuck it into your pocket. Whatever the case may be, we want to keep this before our eyes, because we're a forgetful people. We forget things, and we need to be reminded to re-engage, to re-enter in with that posture of reverence. So we want to take this seriously throughout this year. Another piece that we want to inform you of is as we get closer to Easter here, we're going to do our take and bake invitation. And you can take one of these cards. It has the Easter information on one side, it has the Good Friday information on the other side. And we want to encourage you to consider a gift that you could give to your neighbor, a thoughtful gift. And so we're calling it Take and Bake because baking a loaf of bread is something that takes time. It shows that you had thought, that you put energy and effort into it, and that you were mindful of them in giving it to them. But when you go to give it to them, we want to be intentional about inviting them to join us for Good Friday and Easter. We want to be intentional about bringing our community in for an opportunity to hear what the church is all about and what they can be a part of if they choose to surrender their life to Christ. So we want you to be aware of this as well. We want you to be thinking and praying about who is it that God has put in your immediate sphere of influence that you can personally invite to church, that you can invite to sit with you at church, and that you can be intentional about inviting to lunch afterwards so that you can have some type of ongoing interaction about what was experienced at Good Friday, what was experienced on Easter Sunday. So we want to be intentional about being lights in our community. We want to be that city on the hill that shines for all to see the love and the name of Jesus as the one true King. And so we want to invite you into this great opportunity with us. Well, that's all that I have for you for this weekend, and we are excited to worship with you as we come together on Sunday in that posture of reverence.